There we go. I see it. All right, Christina.
Alrighty.
We've gone over consent forms many times before, so there's no need to really go over it. I sent you the. I assume you got the attachment in the email, right?
Yep, I got it.
Okay, so you can look that over at your leisure and just give her a nice signature at the bottom, and I'll sign it eventually too, and then I can send it in.
Okay.
Um, so to begin, so tell me about your week. Give me some highlights. What went well this week? What didn't go so well?
Okay, this week. What did I even do this week? We had a live class on Tuesday. That went all right. Monday was pretty mellow. Oh no, I was sick on Monday. That sucked. Um, yeah. Then I had to go to work on Wednesday. Work on Thursday. I have to go to a wedding on Sunday, and so I've been preparing for that. It's my first invite to a wedding. I'm pretty excited.
Really?
Um,
You're pretty
yeah.
excited? It seemed the way you described it is like I have to go to a wedding on Sunday.
Well, okay, I'm excited to go to the wedding, but I don't actually like this girl very much, so I'm
Oh,
not I'm not excited that I had to buy a new dress and I had to buy her a toaster. I wasn't excited about that, but I'm excited to get to go.
very true. I think weddings are always fun. There's dancing, there's music, there's free food.
Yes, there better be free food or I'll be very mad.
Wait, so you're not very close with this person, but they invited you to the wedding.
Well, technically they invited my fiance to the wedding and it
Oh,
said +1, so I guess that means I get to go too. So
get to go. Yes.
yeah.
I sense the unbridled enthusiasm in your voice.
Well, I don't know. I know it's probably silly, but I was very annoyed when my name wasn't on the invitation because we're not technically married yet. And
Hmm.
it didn't even say Mr. and Mrs. like his last name. It just said like him +1. So I technically didn't get invited. I got +1. And then but who does she ask when he doesn't RSVP? Oh yeah, that was me. Seriously? This girl emailed me like 4 times, like, hey, you guys haven't RSVP'd yet. Like, get off of me, woman. Yeah, so. But I'm excited to go
Well,
to a wedding. I'm excited to dress up and go. That's what I'm saying.
there we go. Way to take the positive out of it, Christina.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now that we covered this past week, let's get down to the nitty gritty. In a macro sense, I mean, both of us where are we? We're in a sports psychology program at JFK. What
Mm-hmm.
sparked what brought you to the JFK sports psychology program? I'm very intrigued on basically how you decided why you decided to apply and why specifically JFK in this program and sports psychology in general.
Good question. So when I went to my undergrad at Chico State, I I stuck with the psychology, and that's where I got my bachelor's in. And then I was trying to figure out like what I was gonna do with that because a lot of people were like, "Oh, you're not gonna be able to do anything with that. You're gonna end up like in retail," which I did, but that's not the point. But like I was trying to like prove them wrong, kind of, and be like, "No, I can do something productive with this, and I don't need to be a doctor to do it." So I went and I took a semester off, so like half a year, and then I found the JFK program, and I was like, oh, it's sports and psychology. Well, I've been in softball for 14 years. I only didn't do the last. I didn't play it in my undergrad. I played it at my junior college, and my whole entire family does sports, and I really love the culture of it. So why not combine the two? And so I found JFKU and I just kind of applied. I honestly didn't know if I would get in. I was trying to figure out like a backup plan if I didn't. But luckily that didn't come to that because I didn't really have a backup plan. So um, yeah, it just kind of fell into the right slots, and then I just decided I did the online. I was a spring starter, so I did online first, and that
Mhm.
was a little harder than I thought, but then I went on campus and I was like, oh, I really do like all this. I'm so glad I'm here. But yeah, now it's just kind of rolling along. So yeah, I love sports and the culture of it, and I've always been fascinated with psychology. So that's why I'm here.
That
basically.
seemed to be a prominent theme. I mean, I recall when I first arrived on campus for orientation, that seemed to be basically everyone's background. It was like, I always, kind of enjoyed sports, and sports been a big part of my life.
Hmm.
And the majority of the people were either had a teaching background or a kinesiology background, or
Hmm.
mostly it was people with bachelors in psychology. And it's like, what do I do with this now? Maybe
Yeah.
maybe I don't want to go into consultation.
Hmm.
I know I need to get a more advanced focus in my degree, but
Yeah.
where do I take it? So
Exactly.
now you said you found the JFK program. How did you find the JFK program?
Actually, I think one of my friends sent it to me because it was, I was like, him and Han, like right before I graduated, like, oh, I don't know what to do, like, da 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 da. And so I think he sent it to me, and then like I forgot about it for a while, and then like I was in the middle of my like semester hiatus, and I was like, I'm so bored, I need to go back to school, and so I found it again, and yeah, looked up how to apply, all that fun stuff.
Hmm. So you really never sought out for sports psychology. It was kind of a recommendation of a friend.
Yeah, I mean, like I thought of it, like I was like, oh, I could do sports psych. I think there was a like another one because I was thinking about athletic training also. I was like, oh, I mean, like that's starting over, but I could do that. Like that would be interesting.
Hmm.
But it was a lot simpler to go the sports psych since I already had the BA in psych. So
Right, you had
yeah,
that foundation. It was a smoother transition. Like you said, it's tough to make that commitment to fully starting over. So I can see
yeah.
that natural inclination. And are you still friends with this person? Or do they play a role in
Um,
your life?
that person, no, no, not really. No,
No.
that was a falling out drama fest. Um, I only have a few close friends. Like I've got my fiance, he's all right. And then I've got my best friend. Her name is Sarah. She lives in Florida right now. Um, the wrong coast, if you ask me. And then I mean, I've got a few like work friends, but those are two like really the two most important people.
Now you said when you brought up your fiance, I obviously couldn't help but notice, even though I was writing it down. You go, he's all right.
Yeah, no, I love him. I do. He's a boy, you know. He, but I love him. I really couldn't imagine life without him, honestly. Yeah, we've been together for, oh, good lordy, I forgot. 7 years? Yeah, seven and a half, almost. Yeah,
It's all right. I won't tell him if you got the dates wrong.
thanks. Because he would be the one to remember.
And how did you two meet?
Well, we met at a softball field. My mom was in charge of the snack bar, but she actually couldn't be there for opening day, and that was like the busiest day of the whole year. And so like I was like, oh yeah, I'll take it over, not realizing I'd be the only one in this whole snack bar and like 4 fields with 200 people who would want hot dogs all day. And so he poked his head in. He's like, hey, somebody sent me over here to ask if you need any help. And I was like, oh no, I got it, it's fine. And then like 2 minutes later, I look out and the line is like half a mile long. And so I poked my head back out around the corner. And he was still standing there like a creeper. And I was like, hey, I changed my mind. You want to help me out? And he's like, yeah, sure. But it turned out we actually went to the same dojo together. So that was cool. And yeah, he had a girlfriend at the time, but then they like broke up and just kind of it started off slow, but eventually he got enough courage to ask me out. It worked out.
So you mentioned the dojo. How big was the dojo if you've never even encountered him before? Or did you just go to different classes? He was at a different level.
Yeah, he was actually a second degree black belt when I met him, and I was only like I think it was red. I don't know. I was in one of like the intermediate ones, so we had two different classes.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think he went to the class like right after me, but since I didn't know him, we didn't talk or anything. So yeah.
Now, what other commonalities do you share? Because obviously, I mean, 7.5 years, and now the commitment to potential marriage and
Hmm.
engagement, it's a big
Hmm.
deal. And obviously, I'm sure you share many commonalities.
Um, let's see. Have you ever heard opposites attract?
I have heard that phrase, yes.
Yeah, that's pretty much like sums up our whole entire relationship. Um, I mean, yeah, we have a few things in common. Like, we're both a little like nerdy, but like he likes different nerd stuff. Like he likes the video games, and he's really into like role playing games. Like, and it's gonna sound lame, but Dungeons and Dragons. That's what he does. I mean, whatever. It gets him all passionate. So, I mean, and I'll do it with him, but I'm just not as into it as he is. I'm more like, I like, I'm really into Doctor Who right now,
Ooh.
and just a couple other nerd fandoms, I guess. But I don't know. I think the thing that really like keeps me attracted to him is that he lets me be nerdy, and he like accepts it. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I get that," and then he'll let me like rant for an hour about how Matt Smith is not as good as David Tennant. I mean, he'll argue with me, but whatever. He lets me do the ranting, which is what matters. Sorry about
No
that.
problem.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. And he makes me laugh all the time, and um, yeah, and he just takes care of me, which is really just something I need. So yeah,
What do you mean takes care of you?
like I don't know, like he'll spoil me a little more than I really need. Like if I'm just feeling whiny, like in my household, like it nobody accepts whining as a form of communication. Like, I don't want to get up. Will you give me a soda? No. Like, that's how it would go with me and my siblings, which is fine. Like, I grew up with that. Like, I get it. I do the exact same thing. But, like, if I sit there and I'll lie, he'd be like, okay, I'll get it for you. And he'll go get it. And I'm just like, you spoil me too much. So, yeah, it's just little things like that that he does. And I'm just like, wow, I love you so much.
It
Yeah.
sounds like it just in general, it just sounds like he provides the ability for you to be you.
Exactly. And that's really it. He does exactly that. And and then like I'm there for him. Like he like I feel like I provide like kind of a sense of direction for him. Like his family was never big on like their goal was to get him to graduate high school.
Hmm.
And that's what he did. And then they're like, "Okay, now what?" Like nobody had a game plan after that. So I kind of like a little take it upon myself to like um get him to look like in the future as like, okay, so this is what you're doing right now, but what do you want to do later? Like, do you really want to stay here forever? Like, what's your dream job? Like, that's kind of the things that I do, and I've got a lot of patience, and so I use it with him a lot. So, yeah,
That's good.
yeah, I think we
Balance out
balanced
the
it
yin and
out.
the yang. So
Exactly.
would you say he's more present focused and you're more future focused?
Yeah, yeah. I've just always been told like you need when you go through you like you have to. It's basically having a grown up job at the end of the day, right? You need to aim for that grown up job. And he's just kind of been content. Like he worked at McDonald's for a long time, and then he quit that because because he's actually really good. Like if you give him a direction and tell him to do something, he's actually really like goal oriented. Like he wants to
Hmm.
get it done. But they were treating him badly, so he quit that, and then he went to Taco Bell because he already had management experience, and it was pretty easy to get in. Um, and those were just like, oh, you could do so much better, babe. But like, I understand. Like right now, you just need money so you can move out. But like, I really wish you would aim higher. You know, kind of that sort of thing. And I'm just kind of always there just to like give him that little push. Um, and he hasn't like he doesn't seem to mind that, so that works out for me.
I'm sure he appreciates it. Because as you
Yeah,
said, I mean, when he was given tasks and the ability and the structure to achieve things, he did.
yeah, yeah. And
So, I mean, if you're able to provide that support and give him that sense of direction,
mm-hmm.
I'm sure he's more than willing to embrace it. And that's great that you guys can do that for each other. Now, does he
Yeah.
help you kind of be more present and get away from, oh, I have to have this adult job, and why don't I enjoy this moment a little bit more instead of being so focused on the future?
Yeah, he does. He brings me back a little bit. And then like when I'm having those days where I just really just want to like watch Netflix all day instead of doing my homework, he'll actually like look at me and like, is your homework done? I'm like, no. Like, well, babe, you need to get that done first. Like, he'll just do little things like that. Like, no, you have to get your homework done. No distractions. Go. I was like, I don't want to. So he helps keep me on track too. But like, it's in the moment things. Like, just kind of like that example I gave. Like, that's when he'll be like, okay, get your job done, and I'll be like, but life, I don't want to. So yeah, things like that. Yeah. Oh, little disclosure portion of the show. So he actually had a brain aneurysm like a year and a half ago. Um, and so that led to a stroke. So he was in a coma for like 2.5 weeks. And then and right now, I mean he's a lot better right now. Like he can like walk around and stuff, but his whole right side is like it's not full functioning. Like his hand doesn't move. He can kind of get his elbow, but not really. His shoulder, he has like pretty good control over. Like he can go sideways and like forward with it. And then his leg, like his foot, it's in a brace basically. So he doesn't really have good like ankle control, but his hip and his knee are good. But yeah, so he's got like a full like I don't know, it goes up to like mid calf kind of brace thing right now. He just got switched to a small brace, but he can't wear that outside. It's only inside thing. Um, but that's very exciting. Because because like he's been trying to work on it, but like just like his mobility is limited by that big one. So, but I'm really proud of him right now because he's working really hard. Um, it doesn't do good for my like future goal motivation because he's got to focus on the right now and getting better first. But yeah, so that's him right now. I could really talk about him for the whole 50 minutes, but I don't think that's what we want to do.
Well, this is about you, Christina. I
But
mean, that's certainly a very important part of your life and something that impactful. I mean, that's a dramatic shift going from perfectly healthy state to having an aneurysm, and now he's still in the process of recovery. What does his day to day look like?
I mean, it looks okay, but so he honestly, it's that he doesn't have like much to do, which is something like I'm worried about, like because all he has to do is like sit in bed, and then because like I can't be there with him all the time, like we don't live in the same house,
Mhm.
so he like I mean he'll do chores, like he can go out into his backyard, like it's super hilly, so it's kind of dangerous. So he doesn't go back there very often, but like he can go back there and like do chores and take out the trash and stuff, and like he'll help his mom if she goes grocery shopping, like she'll go there and walk around with him. Like we've gone to the park and just walked. Like that's fine. Um, I think the only like limit on his day to day is that he doesn't have very much independence. So if he wants to go to his friend's house, he needs somebody to take him there, or like his friend to come pick him up. Um, and the fact that he can't use his other hand, I think that really like impacted him personally because he can't play any of his like computer games or his like video games, like stuff that gave him happiness. Like I'm not sad that he can't sit around and sit and play video games all day. Like and it's kind of selfish, but I'm not sad about that, but I'm sad that it took something away from him, like it was part of his identity.
Right.
Um yeah, but other than that, like he's right now he's working on some art pieces. He's actually a pretty good artist. So he's working on some acrylic like paintings right now, which is good. That's good for him. Um, but other than that, it's just his lack of independence, I think, is something that impacts him the most. And then like the stuff he takes, like the medicine,
Hmm.
it makes him really tired, and he has to take it in the morning and at night. So it works fine at night, but when he takes it like at 9 o'clock in the morning, like he'll have to take like an hour nap from like 10:30 to 11:30 just because it knocks him out. which I think is also something that frustrates him because he's like, there's no reason I should be sleeping because it's 10:30 in the afternoon. Like, but no, he's doing really good. He's fighting through it. We've had plenty of talks. Just me trying to like use our sports psych skills to like reflect. Like I do a lot of reflecting meaning because like he's got what was it called? It's not aphasia. It's like I don't know. It's the 1A disorder where like your words get flipped around.
Okay.
Because it affected like the right side of his brain. So sometimes he'll say like things that he doesn't quite mean. And so I'll have to like do a lot of reflecting meaning. Like, okay, so this is what you said. And he'll say, yeah, that's what I said. And I was like, but is that what you mean? And then he'll have to think about it. Be like, no, I meant the other thing. And I was like, that's what I thought. And I don't think it'd be possible if like we were just like fresh starting out. Like this happened when we were already going out for 5 years. So I already know, like I get what he's trying to say a lot of the time, but I can't rely on that. I have to get him to understand like what he's saying and like how other people would interpret it versus like what I know he's saying and how like it's actually supposed to be interpreted. Does that kind of make sense?
No, that
Like,
absolutely makes sense. And when those situations come up, when you actually go and confront and reflect back what he's saying and try and get him to sort out whether that's what he actually means,
mm-hmm.
how does he cope with that when a situation comes up where he's saying stuff and he can't really describe it in terms of what he wants to mean, wants it to mean?
I think what happens is, so honestly, sometimes I just have to tell him to take a breath. I'm like, okay, babe, you're getting all worked up and you need to take a breath. And I think he trusts me enough that he knows that I'm right, which is great. I'm glad we have that level of trust. And then I just like, okay, so this is what you said. Is that what you mean? And he's like, and if he says like, you can either say yes or no. And then I'm like, okay, so if that's really what you meant, can you explain it to me? Because I don't understand. And like it's just stuff like that. It's me keeping a level head and him having enough trust in me that I'm trying to work through this with him. Which I don't know. I feel like it's hard, but I feel like I can handle it, you know?
Are there times where you slip up and you perhaps aren't performing up to where you would like and don't have the proper responses, and that can kind of affect your relationship with him?
Yeah. This one argument we had comes to mind where he flat out like started yelling at me because I wanted to watch a show, and it was a show like he really liked, so he really wanted me to like it. And then I wanted to watch it while I was doing homework, and he's like, "No, you have to watch it. Like you can't do both." And I'm like, I don't understand why it's a big deal. So like I let my temper flare as like I matched him. And so we just had this big blowout over like nothing. And I was like, babe, like what's really going on? He's like, I'm sorry, I'm just really frustrated. Like all these like Netflix shows are just something I've been doing for so long. Like he kind of felt like not in charge of them, but like those were his at the moment, you know? Like that's what he had is just like this show, and like he like got so into it that he wanted me to have the same like level. And I was like, well, I can't get into it that much. I'm sorry. And then so he just like it diffused eventually. Like it didn't even take that long, but that's just one time I remember like mirroring him instead of reflecting. So yeah, but so it doesn't always work like that. Obviously, there's times where I'm just having a bad day and I can't handle his bad day, so we walk away. But then we come back, and if we need to talk about it, we will. Like, yeah, I think we've just been doing it so long that it doesn't. Yeah, they don't phase us too much. So
Good. And well, that's good to hear. And something you said that kind of struck me was I matched his behavior. And that I think is something that's can serve as a healthy reminder. When you see somebody being upset, it could almost serve as a cue. Am I upset right now? And why am I upset? Am I acting in the way I want to act in this situation?
yeah,
And like you said, mirroring, if you present a calm demeanor and fully explain in detail why you are not able to achieve what he's looking for, which is you fully engaged in the show because you have other certain requirements out of your day. If you're able to explain that in a calm demeanor, it's only natural for him to lower his, and his frustration will lessen, and he'll be able to match yours and mirror your calm demeanor.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Well, don't feel bad about going in great detail about your relationship with your fiance, Christina.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I talk about him plenty, but I try not to like go overboard because I don't want people to get sick of me talking about him too quick, you know?
It's very intriguing. It's a big part of your life, and you should certainly feel no hesitation to share it with me. I am more than happy to hear it, and I'm very intrigued by the situation, and it sounds like you guys are great support systems for each other. And what else could you want out of a relationship than, as you said before, be able to be comfortable being you? That's what all anybody wants to be, is be able to put yourself out there without fear of judgment. And if you're able to do that with him, this is obviously from the bad coast, as you just called it, but I think
No,
you're in a fantastically healthy relationship the way you describe it.
yeah.
And it's something you can take pride in, because I'm very envious of that, I'll be honest.
No, thank you. Yeah, like we've worked hard for it, so I'm happy with what we have right now.
Now, you mentioned the friend in Florida, Sarah. What does your relationship with her look like previously, and then in the present moment now that she's on the other side of the country?
Alrighty, so BFF Sarah, love that lady. We've been best friends since 4th grade. I started actually being homeschooled in the 3rd grade, and then we were at the same program. So it's just a homeschool program. All the homeschool kids get together and do stuff. So that's where we became friends. Yeah, she's just pretty much always been there. I mean, we we have this relationship where we can like not talk to each other for 2 weeks, and then it just kind of like one day somebody will randomly text somebody, and then it'll be just like picking up where we left off. Like we're just both naturally like calm people. Like we're not too high strung. Um, so right now she's in like a naval program where she's working with the Navy. But she's still a citizen. She's working with the kids that are on base. So right now she's in Florida for training, and then she will go and she will move to Italy next year, I think, for 2 years. And so, I mean, I'm really excited for her, the fact that she gets to do this adventure, because we went to our junior college together. She stayed 3 years and I stayed 2. And then I moved to Chico, and then she followed me. So we pretty much like we've never been too far apart. But right now, her being in Florida, like I'm really excited because she needed an adventure. She needed to go travel. It's what she's always wanted to do. Um, and I'm honestly a little jealous. Like she gets to go to Florida and then Italy. Like Florida doesn't sound fun at all, but Italy, that sounds amazing, and I'm really excited for her. But like the fact that she's so far away isn't the best. I mean, even when she lived like 15 minutes away, we would only see each other like every other week. But it was the fact that she was there and the option was there. But now she's like super far away. But like we call and text all the time. Like when she's feeling homesick, she'll just call me up and be like, I can't handle all these people and I just miss my friends. And I'm like, good, we miss you too. Come back. No, just kidding. You have to stay there and go do adult type things and have adventures and stuff. And then she'll be like, oh, okay, I will. But I don't know. She's just yeah, she's my best friend. She's always been there for me. Yeah. We lived together for a while, for like 3 months. Before she moved. I don't know. This lady does a lot of weird like moving around, so but we lived together for 3 months. I was like, it would have been the best summer ever, except that was also the summer that my fiance had his stroke. So I was a little conflicted. But yeah. No, that's pretty much her. Like I miss her, but I'm really excited for her. Like I would not I would rather her be over there than have her be here and like have her soul be like crushed because she's not somewhere else, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Just for me. So yeah, no. I'm happy for her. I'm glad she
And
gets
why
to be
did, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
there. I was kind of rambling.
It's all right. Why did she decide to join the Navy in the first place? She said you guys went to junior college together. Where did she travel after junior college? What led her to the Navy?
We went to our junior college together, and then we actually went to Chico State together. And then we both came back home to Sacramento, and like she had a job, but it wasn't really what she wanted to do. Like she's always been like working with kids, and she's really good at it. Like the preschool age, she moves up to management like 2 months. She's on top. Um, and then but she wasn't getting any fulfillment out of it. Like she had been doing the exact same thing for so long. Like she's like, I just need a change. And so she applied for this internship program with the Navy, like down in, I think it was in El Centro. There's like an Army base or a Navy base down there. And then like she did that for 3 months, and she loved it down there. Well, she didn't like the area, but she loved the program and being able to work with different people and stuff. And so then she came back home, and she was here for a while again, and she's like, I can't do this again. And so she applied for a different internship with the opportunity to travel, because that's something she's always wanted to do. And so, and for some, I don't know why this girl did not think she was going to get it, but she got it, of course. And then so now she's in this program. Yeah, and she'll be in it for 2 years or 2.5, something like that. But she just needed it because she needed to go out and do more. And the fact that the military like let her travel, that was one of the big draws to it. So yeah.
Now you said she was in search of fulfillment, and she was able to gain that through this internship and her work with the Navy now. What does she exactly do in this internship and with her work with the Navy?
That's a very good question, and she's told me like 12 times, but she works with the kids that are on base, so like the military kids.
Mm-hmm.
So if like they're at the preschool age, then I think she'll like teach them stuff, or like real. It's not daycare, like she'd punch you in the head if you called her a daycare worker, but that's she looks after the kids all day basically. Like if it's the school age kids, then she'll do like the after school programs. I know like right now there's infants that stay there, so sometimes she'll have to work with them. But yeah, her niche is pretty much preschool kids. So yeah, so like she can teach them like the basic stuff, like, but mostly she just does like the facilitating like creative stuff, like painting or blocks or whatever children do, fun stuff.
So she's actively engaging with the kids constantly.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, her major was early childhood development or something like that. So.
Well, that makes sense then.
Yeah.
Okay, I do have one more question in regards to, well, I guess within the framework of Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Said you guys initially met through homeschooling.
Yes.
Could you describe this to me? I'm not really familiar. I'm aware of homeschooling, obviously, but I don't know any details about how this works and how you interacted with other children. And certainly, this would play a large role in, I mean, your development if you were homeschooled. And were you homeschooled throughout? Just, I'll let you take the floor and describe your homeschooling experience to me and what it looks like.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so I went to a private school from preschool to second grade. It was a private school. And then my mom ended up having too many kids to send us to private school. I have 3 younger siblings. And so she's like, well, why am I paying somebody to take care of my kids when I can just do it and we can homeschool? And I was like, okay, like that's fine with me. I didn't really care. And so I was home from the 3rd grade all the way through high school. I was homeschooled. And the way the program worked was you go and you hang out with like other homeschooling families. for, I don't know, I think it was like twice a month or once a month or something. We would just go and they'd have like activities set up. Like I think we would meet at like a church and they would have activities set up and we would just go through and just basically get our socialization for the month or for the 2 weeks or something. And also through those programs, we could take like our state tests, like the SATs and the ACTs or the PSAT. I don't know, all those state tests that were required for school kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like we still had to take those, so we would just get them through like that program. Like they'd have a few days, and we just all go. And basically, yeah, that was it. I was homeschooled, and it was just pretty much just me and my siblings through. But I played softball, so I got socialization through there. So like I never felt like I was missing anything. And then in my junior year, halfway through my junior year of high school, I was on the varsity softball team at one of the like local schools because everybody was playing high school ball. So I was like, well, why don't I just go play high school instead of waiting for them to get done? So I went and I played high school ball. And yeah, halfway through my junior year, I was on the varsity team. And like my coach pulls me over, like it's literally 10 minutes before practice or before our first game that season. Coach pulls me over and she's like, so I just checked with the somebody, and your homeschooling program is not with the San Juan School District, so you're technically not eligible to play. And I think that was the first time I'd ever cried on a softball field before. Like I was just devastated. Like I'd worked so hard to get there, and then like, oh, your homeschooling is wrong, so you can't play. I'm sorry. So then my mom switched me to a charter school, and the charter school I was still homeschooled, but I had to go and to a class and check in with a teacher once a week. So I'd have classes once or twice a week, something like that. But yeah, so that's how it went all the way through my senior year.
Okay, it seems like that was like the first bump in the road throughout your entire childhood when dealing with having homeschooling.
Yeah,
and you said you were socializing basically through softball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, at any point during softball, I'm sure it came up, hey, we're in high school, or we're at such and such public place or private school or what have you, and you were going through a different experience in the homeschooling. How did you interpret those different experiences? Did you have conversations with the other girls? Did you have conversations with your parents about it?
Yeah, like, sure, I like hear like about homecoming, and then everybody's going to like the same school or like two basic big schools that were around us. And I thought like that stuff would have been fun, but as far as like the socializing and like the people aspect, I just feel like I was very, I know everybody feels like they're awkward during like their childhood or whatever, but yeah, it was just awkward. And I was like, oh, well, that sounds like fun, but I didn't get invited to that. I'm not going to that. Like, oh, well, yeah, tell me all about it. I didn't have very many close friends on any of my teams. Like, yeah, I'd have a few like good friends or like girls that I would talk to during practice, and there was always like this one or two girls that were on like a majority of my teams, like my like my travel ball team and my high school team, like, and yeah, like we knew each other, like, but we weren't close. Like we wouldn't go hang out on Friday night or anything. Like, I never really felt like I was missing out on too much. But my sister, my oldest little sister, she did, like, she absolutely hated it. So she went to public school actually in her sophomore year. So, like looking back, I see how like we're so like how we were different, but me personally, I don't think it affected me too much. I always had Sarah, and then I did softball, and then I did martial arts for 4 years, and that was during I think I started that when I was 14. So I had that till I was 18 or 19. So.
So yeah, it's not like you felt like you were missing out on things because you had involvement in other aspects. You had a group of support in karate. You had a group of
Mhm.
support within your softball, even though you didn't spend time with them outside of that. So basically, your non-sports or non-martial arts activity was spent mostly with Sarah, or did you do a lot of family activities as well, or just what
Um,
you did outside of those two aspects?
yeah, yeah. If I went to go hang out with friends, it'd be with Sarah, and we'd like either go to each other's houses, or when we could drive, then we'd go places. But like really before that, it was we really I just hang out with home at home with my family. I had enough siblings to keep me busy. Um, yeah, I mean, and there wasn't really much downtime, like in terms of like not doing sports, because at least like during those like teen years, like you could always go pick up a class at the dojo, or there'd always be a practice to go to, even if it wasn't yours. Um, yeah, I mean that I didn't really do much outside of sports, honestly, growing up. Like, yeah, like I'd go to the mall or go hang out with Sarah, but I mean, and then Sarah had a little sister that was about the same age as my little sister, so like we just all four just went out and did shenanigans. So,
And how were you introduced to both martial arts and softball? When did you first start?
I started softball when I was 5. So I did t-ball. And I think I mean, I've been told I started that because my neighbor at the time did baseball, and I wanted to do that too. So my parents signed me up for softball. And then martial arts, I've always been a huge Walker Texas Ranger fan. So I was
I
lucky.
we're mirroring many aspects right now, Christine, and I'll let you finish up, and then I'll give you my little spiel.
And so like I'd bugged my mom for the longest time to let me do karate. And so for my 14th birthday, she finally signed me up. And it was like she signed me up for like 6 months or whatever, and then ended up staying there for like 5 years. I threw my black belt, and then like a little bit after that, and I was actually there longer than I was supposed to be, because one, my boyfriend was there at the time, and two, but like we hadn't paid for it for like 4 whole months, and I was still there. And then at one point in time, like my the admin lady, she's like, okay, listen, like I actually can't let you on the mat anymore. Like it's an insurance thing. And I was like, oh no, I totally get it. And I just never went back. So, but yeah, that was it. Walker Texas Ranger. Chuck Norris will always be my BFF.
Me and my mother used to watch Walker Texas Ranger every single Saturday night, and I
Yeah,
wouldn't have spent that Saturday night any other way.
no, it was the best. Like I remember, like me and my whole family would watch it. Like, and now like if I find a reruns, I make everybody watch it, and they're like, "Really?" I was like, "Yes, do not argue."
Where do you find these reruns? I should reintroduce myself to my childhood and Walker Texas Ranger and Cordell and the whole gang.
Yeah, dude, it's the best. And then like the difference between like the earlier ones and like the newer ones is so different. It's so funny to watch. I love it.
Through the eyes of an adult, it's probably quite a different experience than what you remember as a child.
Oh yeah, like all those guys were so scary all the time. And now I watch, I was like, what? All he did was like blow up a bank. It's fine.
I know. I have one vivid memory of being terrified of Walker Texas Ranger. I think it was an opening scene in one of the episodes, and there was obviously somebody was murdered or something. I can't even recall what actually occurred, but I just remember there like being blood on the mirror and just like somebody creepy in the mirror's reflection. That's all I remember now, but it terrified me.
Oh, I believe it. If you ever see blood on a mirror, you'll probably have a vivid flashback.
Yeah,
Really
yeah.
bad.
Those are pretty. That's a pretty lucid experience, seeing blood on a mirror and then some dark shadow coming
Yeah.
off the reflection.
Yeah, and all of those like Indian episodes where he was like fiddling with his Cherokee background. It's just those are very odd, but I loved them anyway. So
Hey, he's getting in touch with his past, his childhood. That's where he grew up, was with the natives.
Yep.
See, now you're bringing back all these memories, Christina. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Yes. Walker, Texas Ranger, and I also loved Indiana Jones. I feel like he's a badass too. So
Along the same lines, both wore brown, the occasional cop hat.
exactly. I actually have an Indiana Jones hat. I need a cowboy hat. I don't have a real one, but I'm working on it.
We'll work on that. Can be a future goal since you're so future oriented.
Exactly.
Well, I can't think of a better way to finish it off, Christina, than a Walker, Texas Ranger centered conversation.
Right? I feel like it's the best.
Absolutely. Now, we didn't get to delve into too much details about things like your sporting background. I mean, we briefly touched on it on the end there, so that's something I probably will go into next time around. And then from there, we'll touch on your character strengths and weaknesses. I think I got some ideas on a relative framework of what some of the strengths and weaknesses might be and areas you might to improve on. Excuse me, with the weaknesses. But that's probably where I will be centered around next time. I mean, I learned a lot about your background and who you are, and obviously your fiance plays a big role in your life, and you have a great support system. And it sounds like you're very happy with where you currently stand in your relationships, and that plays a big role in who we are. And I was able to gather some information about your educational background. I was able to learn about homeschooling, and I found this conversation very interesting and rewarding.
Good, good. I liked it too. It's been a while since I just got to ramble about nothing.
That's what we're here for. It's not nothing. It's Christina.
True, true. Careful or my head will get too big.
Oh, stop. You're fine. All right, Christina. Well, I'll shoot you an email and just confirm the time next week. And I look forward to doing this again.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye, Christina.
Bye.